My personal belief is in our industry, if your profit margins are not even double digits, like I believe they should be 20 plus or you should get a job. Like I don't actually think you're really running a business at that point. I made an acquisition a couple of years ago where there was one colleague that I was like, we're gonna buy this business so we get this amazing person. Well, she left 3 months in and the business was a disaster. It was making like no money. So I spent a year just basically cleaning up and firing half their clients because there's no way we could make them profitable.
With me today, I have Katie Dunsworth. She's the co-founder of TalkShop Media Inc. And today we'll talk about cutting through the noise, how to get regular positive media coverage, scaling businesses, and where the industry is going. Katie, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. I'm a little stuffed up, so apologies if I sound like I'm underwater.
You sound fantastic. Now, let's start with the beginnings. Can you tell us how did you start your career journey and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, well, it's a funny story. As a kid growing up, my dream in life was to be a TV producer. I wanted to produce for the Oprah Winfrey Show. I think, like lots of people in my generation, I grew up on Oprah. And many, many years later, spoiler, I actually had an experience where I got to be on Oprah, and really that came full circle. I went then to journalism school in Vancouver, very quickly realized that was a career that wasn't quite what I imagined. It would have meant moving into a small market, really, being sort of a newsie on the ground in a small town. And I didn't want to move. And that was sort of where it came to. And I remember on the very first day of school, my teacher saying, you were all here because we're not doing this for the money. If we were here for the money, we would do something else. And I remember thinking like, wait, what? I didn't even think about it. And that played a really, big part of my early career. I ended up going in-house and doing communications and marketing work, first at a small agency, and then I moved into a scale up. Now one of the Dragons on Dragons Den, Brian Schoonemore's O2E organization, which started as 1-800 Got Junk. And what I learned there was PR. I got hired as a PR manager, and PR was the number one driver for how people had seen and heard of them. And it was also the number one driver for their franchise business, how they were selling franchises. And it was a huge platform for Brian himself to really be able to do bigger and better things. And so I saw the power of media and the power of PR there. And ironically, while I was there, I was in my really early 20s, like 22, I think, when I got hired there. And I was just spending more than I was making. And it was this thing of like, I was sort of trying to imposter syndrome, like look the part. And so if I dressed a certain way and lived in a certain place, it would all be like it would all fall into place somehow. And I remember, I was with my now husband and thinking like, oh God, if we get married, like I'm dead. I'm really embarrassed. Like I'm embarrassed about the way I spend money. And he's very frugal. And I just remember thinking like, I got to get this together. And so with a group of women that I actually worked with at that company, we started like our own, almost like a book club, but we called it a money club. And yeah, we did that for like a year, almost 2 years. And I was at work and um, I was pitching, Brian, and saw a story that was coming up on the Oprah show about people that had sort of followed this program that they had launched, which we had actually reviewed in our money club. And so I'm a good pitch writer. So I wrote our pitch, and lo and behold, a few months later, they called and we were on the show, and that really led to like a life-changing moment for all of us. We ended up from that show getting our own television series. So first in Canada with the W Network, and then in the US with OWN, Oprah's network. We got a book deal with Random House, so wrote 2 financial bestsellers, Smart Cookies Guide to Making More Dough. And yeah, for about a decade, I really spent my time and energy on both educating women and younger people on what is like really common, not common sense, but like financial literacy, the stuff that you don't get taught in school, and the stuff I think specifically for women that doesn't necessarily come naturally or easily to us, and with this ethos of you can have it all. It just means it's like you can have it all, it's not all at once. It's really about prioritizing, where you want to spend your time and your energy and your money. And for me, it was like, you know, I I didn't want to sacrifice on certain things. So that meant like working two jobs or, not having a car so that I could take trips, those sorts of things. Yeah. And then while I was doing that, I left, got junk. A lot of the relationships I had made there were part of the like EO or YPO. And so a lot of those folks were like, "Can you help us? Is there something we can be doing with you?" So while I was doing the Smart Cookies business, I started what's now TalkShop, my agency. And both, ironically, Smart Cookies, we really harnessed PR to build that business, and then TalkShop is helping other businesses do the same thing.
That was a long journey filled with a lot of interesting. I was typing so many questions as you were saying because it sounds fascinating the journey you were going through, and I'll hone in on a couple of specific ones because I think these ones are the building blocks. You talked about financial literacy early on in
Yeah,
the days, and
yeah,
the imposter syndromes and all these things that we feel that we have to do or we should do.
yeah, yeah.
Um, what are some of the basic stuff that you see people constantly misunderstand or make mistakes when it comes to financial literacy?
Well, I hate to say it, but how you do anything is how you do everything. And so I can tell you, I have a very good read on how somebody respects and manages their money by little tiny behaviors. DoorDash, Uber Eats, coffees on the daily. Those are the things where if you are serious about saving, you're likely not doing if you're working kind of a standard job. I have a teenage child who, just thinks it's like her birthright to have a Starbucks every other day. And I'm like, girl, I don't have a Starbucks every other day. You know why? Because I want to pay this house off. Like, here's what we're doing. So I think it's actually the little behaviors. I think that the other thing with financial literacy, and it really is a mindset of like fixed versus an open mindset of like, though this might not be something I was raised with or that I like doing. What's the saying? It's not that hard. Guys do it. Like it's not that hard. And you just have to chip away at it. That's why for us, like the money group was the format. It was getting together, having wine, gossiping with your girlfriends, being honest about like I spent too much this weekend. I, like bought this thing. I'm feeling bad about it. Then, okay, what are you going to do to change that? I have this thing now where it's like for everything I bring, I sell something. So, I mean, they're actually a client of mine. So, little client promo, but I used Poshmark, which is a clothes reseller, a really easy online tool. And it's allowed me to invest in clothes I love and I wear them and take good care of them. And then, when I'm ready to bring a new piece in, I make sure I'm selling something. So things like that, just little behaviors that really, constantly push you to honor and think about your money in a way that is coming from a place of like care.
Uh, uh, um, an interesting point that you mentioned there that I think a lot of people will assume like, oh no, someone that has so many companies and so many years of experience and build this wealth, that there's no way they would use like a sell their clothes or secondhand posh stuff. It's like no, that's not what I've seen
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
TikTok.
But here's the thing, like I've paid off a mortgage. I have commercial property. I have multiple, I have a real estate portfolio. I have millions of dollars invested. Like, yeah, and I sell my clothes, and that's why. Like, and that's not the only reason, but it's little tiny decisions like that over and over and over again because I respect money and I want my money to work for me.
And it's a concept that I think a lot of people make mistakes when it comes to small jumps in their career. So I was telling my friend about Rich Dad Poor Dad and the inflation of lifestyle. And I was like, the
Hmm.
moment you got the new
Hmm.
job, that's when you bought the new car, and then all of a sudden you
Totally.
have a bigger mortgage.
Yes.
I'm like, life was difficult
Yeah.
before that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what are some of the stuff that you see that people are like are they're misconcept. It's not what people that want to build wealth do, but people that see them on TikTok or on YouTube, they feel like this is the way that you have to do it.
I think that you're so right. Well, and the thing with TikTok is, whether it's generational wealth, like this is something that's been passed down, or there's family money or what have you, there is a whole generation that just thinks it's the norm to live in a beautiful place and be dressed in designer and exactly drive the fanciest car. And I'm here to just say, like, that is not real life. Those extremes, extreme wealth, the Becca Blooms of the world, and the extreme train wrecks are really all we want to consume. It's not very interesting to watch and consume somebody day after day making smart decisions, one foot in front of the other, putting money away. But I'm telling you, as a regular person who's got a, like, that's what you have to do. And there's lots of things. I mean, my husband and I are great examples of didn't come from any wealth. I didn't have my first condo, I knew, and I think probably one of the things to your question that people do different is I hate the idea of paying someone, specifically rent. So I will like live on nothing to be able to own the place that I live in. I own the building that we work in. I don't, when I built a house a few years ago, we had to move somewhere. I had a number of rental properties, and I was like, I'm going to live in one of my little dinky rental properties because I don't want to be paying rent for 2 years while we do this build. And so I think that things like that are those things. Some of the wealthiest people that I know, to your point, are not driving expensive cars. They are not posting on the internet. I've had many experiences with clients and friends where they fly private, and they have incredible experiences. They're not talking about it. It's gauche. It's not something that they're overly proud of because they know, it's important to maintain a reputation where you are seen as somebody who yeah, just knows how to manage money and not overspend. And so I think that's what you're seeing. The people that are the loudest about it are often the ones that don't actually have it.
Now, when we're talking about building your wealth, and let's say you started this process, you have your business, and now you are maybe 3 to 4 years, and all of a sudden you got what one of my clients called money problems. You didn't do this before, you don't know how to do these things. So you
Yeah.
start to invest in the company in various ways, and you're doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things that he was telling me, he's making like 50 million a year. He was like,
Yeah.
you can't eat valuation, profit margins.
Yeah.
Who
Hell
do you
yeah.
hire? What are some of the concepts that you believe that you have in your companies to
Yeah.
build and scale companies?
Yeah. So I think a really helpful process that we went through. So, full disclosure, like for the first 5 years of my agency, um, I didn't really know. I'm out there talking about personal finance day in and day out. I didn't really know what sort of standard metrics for running an agency are, what target profit margin, EBITDA should be, what kind of net income, we were going for, how to gain efficiency. That was, we were just trying to keep our head above water. And I remember in the first couple of years, our accountant going through our year ends with us and saying, yeah, you guys made about 8%. So that's, in our industry, my personal belief is in our industry, if your profit margins are not even double digits, like I believe they should be 20 plus, or you should get a job. Like I don't actually think you're really running a business at that point. But at that time I didn't know that. And so he was like, you're paying enough to basically pay yourselves. We weren't paying ourselves very much, pay your employees, and have a little tiny bit just in case something goes wrong, and that's it. And I just remember thinking, like, I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound like a good idea. So we really spent about a year, and we hired, consultants, sales coaches, people that really allowed us to create a dashboard that looked at both how we were managing work, and what we were finding was, there were pieces of work files we were working on where we were so egregiously over servicing them and losing money, like truly losing money, and others that were steady and stable and highly profitable that we weren't paying enough attention to. And so it was just that idea of like, what you measure, you manage. And so we really started to measure our time, measure our efficiency. And within 1 year, we went from 8% to 24% profit. And that meant firing some clients. It was like, because there were certain people that started, they only wanted to pay this. They had an extreme sense of like how much they were entitled to use our time with. And you realize like, that might work for other shops. It doesn't work for us. This is how we're able to deliver good value for you, and this is what it's worth. And I think that's probably one of the most empowering concepts I've found in my adult life, is just knowing this is what I'm worth, and it's fine if you don't want to pay that, but I'm very aware of the value I deliver, and people want to work with people who are confident in that.
It sounds like there were some dark days in that year where you had to fire people, where you're eating the
No,
cost.
we fired clients. We didn't fire staff. I mean, that's a good problem to have, but yeah, it wasn't fun.
Where you're letting go of some of those clients, and you're eating the cost for the consultants, and you're trying to
Yeah,
understand, you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah.
What are some of the beliefs that you have in those processes where you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel? How do you know when to push, when to pivot?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think the number one thing I found is like, you have to have buy-in from everybody, and probably the most pivotal things. It doesn't seem like a big thing at the time. The one particular consultant that we were working with who really helped us maximize business development and growth was like, high growth companies live and die by their numbers. If you are not, he's helped us set up a pipeline and a tracker. If you are not living and breathing and talking about this and meeting on it and using this as the metric of your success, you're never going to do what you want to do. And so we built it. Didn't seem crazy. It was a little rinky spreadsheet at the time. Now it's a pretty robust and dynamic sheet. We run it through HubSpot. Like, we have a lot more, it's more dynamic now, but it's the same concept of, we really measure the things and spend time on the things that we care about. And that goes back to our clients too. I mean, we have such strong systems to say, it's not acceptable for us to come in and deliver. We need to over deliver. And especially when the market is struggling, we know we've got clients in the real estate sector, and that sector is getting pummeled. What are we doing to, help their business push above the fray, get customers when nobody else is, sell properties when nobody else is? And so those are the things that we measure, and those are the things that we're talking about.
When you're going through that process of building the tables and understanding the numbers and living and dying by the numbers, uh,
Yeah,
it's always important to have the right people. And you're someone that
yeah.
has done this many, many times. What are some of the things that you see when you do the hiring? Is there anything that you always look for to find the right talent?
Great question. Yeah. So what I will say, and I have heard this from the absolute best, you know, you can meet someone that blows your socks off in an interview, get them in, and within a week, and they're taking a sick leave and not delivering on half the stuff you thought. The number one thing that I have seen is that growth mindset. Somebody who's like, I might not know that, but I know how to figure it out. I can work with, and I have a company of those people through and through and through. And the litmus test of if they really have that sort of can do is week one, month one, if I look back and say, are they doing what I expected? To the same thing of what our clients would measure us. Are they doing a good job, or are they really blowing us away? And they're almost every time people who are like over exceeding what you would expect from them. And so, you don't get it right 100% of the time, but that's what we shoot for, and that's what I look for.
It's a concept I haven't heard before because one of my guests here, David Boehm, he was doing M&A, 17 companies sold and
Yeah,
bought, and he was like 50% of the time I made a mistake in hiring for 17 companies over 30
totally.
years.
Yeah,
But the one thing he was saying he notices a great talent comes out of the box swinging day one. It's no problem. If you start to
that's right.
optimize
Exactly.
this,
Yeah.
it won't work. So, do you have
Yeah.
some other, outside of a growth mindset, do you have some indicators when you hire, let's say if you're hiring for a leadership position, for a manager,
Yeah.
you look for different things in the levels with it when you hire?
So simple things like for a manager would be speed and thoroughness. Like that this is somebody who can, so at TalkShop we have four core values. The one I'll talk about, we call it get it factor or get it. And so get it to me is like, not only do you understand the assignment, but you're like a step ahead in terms of what needs to happen. And that's hard, man. We have hundreds of clients. So you could be a manager with a portfolio of not one, not two, like many businesses, big businesses that have many priorities and teams that support those businesses. And you really have to be able to assess priorities and move with speed. And that's not easy. So I think speed and get it factor are something I look for at a manager level. I think at a director level, where you're expected to be a strategic thinker, it's not that different, except that at a director level, where I can tell a director that will be successful and one that may struggle is their mindset is not, I'll just fix it. It's always easier. You're always going to be the one who thinks they can do the better job. It feels faster, and and I think we are not exempt from feeling that. Like we have lots of people who are like, oh, I just went in and I wrote that thing because it was going to take too much time to explain it to them. The director will not do that. The director will 10 out of 10 times say, and I use this concept of bookending. They will bookend their expectations. They will check in and assess like how it's going, and they will bookend at the end like what it needs to be, and sort of check the work. And they're never the ones to overstep or try to fix. They're there to teach, and they're there to level up the team.
When we talk about these hiring processes, directors, managers for our companies,
Yeah,
it's easier to apply. You're someone that has went through several acquisitions, you've acquired several
yeah.
companies. How do you bring
Mhm.
people from the other side, from the acquired side, to your mission, vision, and values?
Yeah. So I think the thing I've learned, and like you mentioned, we've done a number of acquisitions over 6 years. What I The ones I've done well, and I'll talk about the ones I've done not well first. So the ones that I've done not well are, you want the deal to be done so bad, and often we've had deals that have come with the entrepreneur or the founder and their team. And we've had deals where the founders would like to leave, and you're just getting the book and the team. And in the cases where you bring on the entrepreneur, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I can only freaking imagine what I would be like trying. It's a square peg round hole kind of concept to say, you built a house and you built a family and you ran your home and family in a certain way, and now you are in our family, and day one you're just going to look like us and act like us, and it really, I've learned to manage my expectations on that. So what I've learned to not do is take an entrepreneur, put them with a fancy title so that they feel good, and have a bunch of people that now report to them. We have a much slower integration process. We like to see how that entrepreneur settles in our organization, and if they even freaking like it, and if they're doing a good job. And I think that that's like half the time the problem is it's like they either don't like it or they don't really have the skills they need to do a good job. And it's not that they're not good, it's just like they're not good for that role. And there's probably another role that and so we try to have that conversation and have those built-in check-in points. In what worked, I think speed of integration, like trying to on day one expect everyone, we give it about a year to say, okay, you're on this platform, we're on that platform. We're just going to now share a space. These are the things, you do have to do time tracking. So here's how you use, Bamboo, and, you're off to the races. And then 3 months later, it's about getting them onto the CRM. And then it's about getting them onto our client management system and making sure that they're bought in. And so just slow and putting more time and love into just the fact that this is a transition for them. You want them to stay. You're going to do everything you can to ensure that they stay. But if it's not the right place for them, that there's open dialogue about that. And that I've done acquisitions where it's been more about getting the book, and we're happy to take the team, but we have a team that could support it. And then there's, I made an acquisition a couple of years ago where there was one colleague that I was like, we're going to buy this business, so we get this amazing person. Well, she left 3 months in, and the business was a disaster. It was making like no money. So I spent a year just basically cleaning up and firing half their clients because there's no way we could make them profitable. So you don't get it right every time, but every time, it leads me to be better and better and better. And I think that's what business is. And I think that's what life is it's just like you learn and optimize and get a little bit stronger and a little bit better for the next go.
Now, you're someone that loves the challenges, and you've worked with so many people, and you got to a place where you have a top employer in Canada. What are some of the core values that you build within the team to have
Yeah.
top employer in Canada status?
Yeah. So I think you can hear it in my voice. One of our core values is being business minded, and I don't think this works. I don't think we work if we don't care as much about your business as you do and spend the time. And I would say back to your hiring question too, that I can tell that like somebody who's taken the time to be like, oh, that's where their customers are coming from. How could we reach them in a different way? So people who love business and have a business mind are one of our core values. So just be business minded. Get it is another concept of ours. We're women in industry of a lot of women, but working in a construct that doesn't always has made it harder, not just for women, but people that are marginalized. And so I have a team that cares a lot about, justice, equity, inclusion. So seek equity is something that we, care a lot about. And that is, both in not just our own policies, but how we show up in our community, what we're doing to better ourselves. We've got a great group that has like we have a group called, so it stands for Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, and they've got a book club, and they do field trips, and we give money to causes that are aligned to, marginalized communities, Indigenous communities, and women-led causes. And I think that that's something that really gets our team fired up.
It's fantastic to hear that, because it's not just building inwards, but it's also outwards. What do you do for the community? Because the next person that might come through the door will see, yes, I know exactly what they did. I've met Katie at whatever, and I met the team, and I would like to work in that company one day later down the future.
Yeah.
When we talk about later down the future, there's a lot of changes in
Yeah.
the industry. There's
You're telling me.
so now that we are on that subject, where do you see the industry going in 2026? And if you can beyond, that'd be fantastic. But let's look at the near future. Where do you see the industry going in 2026?
Yeah, so in 2026, I mean, it's no surprise to anyone that, linear television is not something that is going to grow at all. We stream shows and we watch YouTube and we watch TikTok and we consume media in so many more ways than we did than like a decade ago. But what's not going away is our need. Ultimately, human beings are pack animals, and so we seek connection and community. And we have lived through a time where we were isolated, and now more than ever, whether it's run clubs or group fitness, or I've done so many different like retreats and travel experiences where you're really making connection and community. That is not going anywhere. I don't think out of home, interestingly, like being able to break through the noise in ways that are maybe a little bit guerrilla, or that are you drive past a billboard every other day. Those things are still, they're not going anywhere. They're good for brand awareness. They're not going to be the thing that takes you from 0 to 1,000, but they're tried and true. And then there's lots of different medium. I'm such a consumer of podcasts. I mean, there are a million podcasts. I'm on one. But I think that long form, deeper conversation is something that we're all craving. And I think authenticity is not going anywhere. We lived through this era of like the Instagram grid of everything being perfect and curated, and you know what I mean? And people are like, I'm bored of that. I want to see real life. I want to see a jump scare of somebody doing something totally unexpected. So I think we can expect to see more of that, whether it's in formats like TikTok or other video content.
Because you're someone that spends a lot of time with video and with imaging and all these mediums, do you see a stable growth of Sora 2 or any other video platforms that are producing video AI accepted or adopted by your clients?
We're not as much on the content creation as it relates to that. Like I would say we capture things and share them. There would be no client I can think of that would to me, it's sort of like you don't want to spend the money, and so AI becomes the swap in. And I just think consumers smell it. Like I have kids who grew up on the internet and they can sniff out an AI video or a photo that's AI so quickly. So I think as consumers, we're not accepting that. And so, I think we stand behind authentic content, and that's
Right. So in the way that you see it, in the way that you've applied it with your clients, there is no rush for it. Like we need to, like there was a rush for the agentic stuff. Oh, we can do agents and they can build mini workforces.
yeah,
There's a huge
yeah,
towards that. And
yeah,
then there was like, I think there was a betting company that run an ad for the Super Bowl that was like completely AI, but it was like
yeah.
over the top. It was more like a joke. It wasn't like a
Yeah,
serious.
I was gonna say, unless you're using it as almost like a stunt to get attention, like that is a PR strategy. I just think there's like AI fatigue, man. I talk about AI all day, every day. I'm tired of it. Like I would like to talk about something else. It is here to stay. It is constantly changing. You have to like the number of even clients that we now have that are just AI integration for businesses, consultancies that allow businesses to better leverage AI has gone up exponentially. But it's not a particularly interesting topic to a consumer. Like it's like here to stay, and it's constantly changing.
Yes, there was. I had a conversation with someone on the podcast. He was like, "What happens to people that have .ai in their domains? Like back in the day, we didn't have like .online because it's just normal
Yeah,
now. So what do you do with a
yeah,
domain in 10
yeah,
years from today?"
yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Now, because you've been doing this for a long time and successfully, how do you cut through this noise? There's a lot of noise now and
yeah,
there are a lot of similarities. And I had some guests that we talked about that as well. They were like, look, there's nothing unique, there's no unique selling points. I start to just see a lot of
yeah,
competition for prices. How do you advise your clients? This is the
yeah,
way you cut through the noise.
yeah. So we really focus on three things that are super basic. I think the first concept is just like be excellent. We're never going to. I don't want to be the cheapest, and in order to sit at an area where I don't think we're the most expensive either, but you're delivering a high, like our offering is quality and high touch sort of white glove experience that is very results driven that can move the needle in your business. And so in order to do that, we have to have quality controls and a lot of internal processes to really say like push ourselves. So we focus on that, and that isn't cutting through the noise in the sense that we're being loud about it. It's cutting through the noise in that it's like I get referred by my clients over and over and over again because we do a really good job, and I don't need to be loud about it. I'm really proud of this team and the work that we do, and that's enough for me. At the same time, you need to attract team, and so we do invest in with the time and energy into our social media and the causes that we support and where we show up. The other thing that we do to cut through the noise is focus. Like we just focus incredibly deeply on a handful of sectors. So technology startups, scale ups, things that are in both, AI, Web3, financial technology, health technology, are all really sectors where we have deep presence and and invest. And then, the final way that we cut through the noise is being a bit different, that we're not there to do what everyone else is doing, that we will we'll stay in our lane, and really excel at it.
Now, I have a question. So, a couple of sectors you mentioned, they're not really like fun or sexy for that matter. We're talking
No.
financial sectors. How do you get
Yeah.
like positive media coverage?
Oh, that's easy. I was gonna say it's really hard to get employees. It's, a lot of people that go into PR think that they're gonna be, hosting the Oscars and working with celebrities. And we do work with celebrities, and we've done, TIFF and all kinds of fun things. But day in and day out, it's a lot of, really stuff I found super cool, back end technology, things that are actually changing the way we live and work and consume, and e-commerce and financial processing. Sorry, so what was your question?
How do you help that client have positive media coverage when it's not really an interesting topic?
Yeah.
Healthcare is very difficult. People are scared what they can or can't say, regulatory stuff. How do you help someone like this is what we can get some PR on they might feel like, no, my industry or
Yeah.
my space is very boring.
Yeah. Some of it is starting small. So we have clients that come in and with that exact question, like we know we need to do this, but we can only talk about certain things. And so that's where executive thought leadership is a great example, where you take a really, bright CEO, CTO, and you take something like take a through line that matters both to their end consumer and to their business, and just go deep on that. So you start with maybe it's an opinion editorial, maybe you're just starting with LinkedIn and blog content and giving them sort of a content platform to use on their own socials. And then that tends to worm them up to the idea. We also have to do a lot of A/B testing. We go out and say, okay, you're launching, this new app, and it does this thing for, it's a financial technology app, and it does this thing for people's money. How is that different than anything else? So we will come up with strategies to, have it get attention. But what we tend to do is look at like what's going on in the world at that time. If you're launching something, and that's something, I learned in my Smart Cookie days, is it's like 2 months away from holidays. That's when people feel the most pain with their personal finances. So you're probably going to tie it into holiday spending, and you're going to get way more media opportunities being timely and topical, talking about that thing, than sort of saying this because journalists at the end of the day are like, we have an ad department. So if you would like this to be a promo piece about your business, buy an ad. Like they need it to tie into things that their audiences care about. So we work really closely to come up with those through lines and ultimately, have the journalists feel like, hey, this is a story no one else is talking about, and this is a company that really knows how to talk about it.
It's so simple when you break it down like that because these companies they do have CEOs and CTOs and it's like repetitions, right? You can write some LinkedIn posts or some blogs, and
Yeah.
eventually that can become put it through Hero or through the connections you have with journalists. It doesn't have to be the first thing. Let's just write a PR, fantastic PR,
Yeah.
blast it in, and it's
Yeah.
actually like an ad or something like that. Now
Yeah.
we covered a lot of topics here, and I want to wrap it up asking, what does the future look like for you, Katie? What are you working on? What are
Yeah.
the new and exciting stuff that you plan
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
for you?
Yeah, I think the future for us looks like more growth. We have a lot to do both in the Canadian market, and we're also now on the south side of the border. It's interesting times, politically to and economically to really, frankly, be in both countries. We have Canadian clients that sell into the US that have been heavily impacted by tariffs. We have US clients that, feel all the struggles of the economic conditions down there right now. And yet we still see so many bright lights in so many different areas. So we're staying true to what we've always done. We're investing more into, how you measure and how you deliver good PR strategy, good digital strategy is something that, especially on the measurement side, our clients care more and more about. They need to justify more and more. So we have some really exciting tools that we are using that allow us to just get better and better. So it's
Fantastic.
just
Now,
getting better.
it's just getting better. Now, Katie, if people listen to this and they like what they hear, how do they get a hold of you to work with you?
Awesome. Yeah, you can go to our website, talkshopmedia.com, or you can find me through email or my LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok. And it's at Katie Dunsworth React for most of those.
I appreciate all the time you took today to walk us through all these things. This was fascinating, especially the stuff of how to build a team and the core values that you have so that you can have a top employer status. These are the things that I think if someone is serious about business, they understand it's about teams, it's about how to build this company, how to really scale it. So I appreciate you sharing all this information and I wish you all the success.
Thanks so much, Nico. Nice to talk to you.